Hi everyone, I'm Elena Cotafava and I am the General Secretary of Jimbe Foundation and head of the management team of the 11th ABHC International Conference. Today we are launching a new series of short video interviews with some of the key speakers of the conference to give you an early look at the ideas and debates that will be at the heart of the conference. ABHC 2026 will take place in Taormina, in Italy, from October the 21st to October the 24th, and will focus on the future of ecosystem of evidence with a special attention to artificial intelligence and digital transformation in research and healthcare. To open this series, I'm pleased to introduce you Tiziano Innocenti, Chair of the Board of ABHC 2026, who will briefly frame the conference and introduce today's guest. Just a quick remember before we start. All the information on the registration is available on our website. You will see a QR code on the screen. You can just scan it and go. And remember that abstract submission is open until February the 28th. Please, Tiziano.
Hi everyone, I'm Tiziano Innocenti, Director of Research Methodology Unit at the Jimbe Foundation in Italy. And today I'm very glad to be joined by Dr. Gordon Gaia, who is a distinguished professor in the Department of Health Evidence and Impact at McMaster University in Canada. And Gordon coined the term evidence-based medicine in 1991 and has been a central figure in development of evidence-based approaches to clinical decision-making. And he was also inducted into the Canadian Medical Hall of Fame in 2016. Gordon, thank you very much for being with us today. And I would like to concentrate our conversation by focusing on a topic that is closely connected to your recent work, Gordon, namely core grade. So let's start from the background. What was the main motivation for developing a core grade?
The grade endeavor has been very successful. So there are over 120 organizations worldwide that have adopted grade. Cochrane Collaboration uses grade. Various other World Health Organization uses grade. So 120 organizations and lots of prominent ones. The grade papers are widely cited, widely used in systematic reviews. But there are problems. The uptake of grade has slowed. We got to 110 organizations years ago and then flattened out. We recently checked only 9% of systematic reviews use grade. And there is increasing unhappiness with grade getting excessively complex and more and more and more sophisticated. And we methodologists love to make things complicated, but we should be attending to a balance. So the great progress with grade, but it has slowed. And part of the reason that the progress has slowed, we believe, is grade has become too complicated. And many grade publications, people find it hard to keep up as new things come along. So problems and core grade was an attempt to address those problems.
Thank you, Gordon. Thank you very much. And I think that this helps set the scene very clearly. And building on this, I would like to move from the rationale to the concept itself. And what exactly is core grade, and in what sense is it, or is it not really grade?
So we had identified things were too complicated. And we believe, and I certainly believe, that one can focus on the essentials of grade and still get it right when you look at the certainty of evidence and move from evidence to recommendations, which of course is what grade is all about. So what we started by doing was reviewing in detail all prior grade writings, the whole spectrum of grade writings. And we did it, and as we reviewed every paper, we said, what does this tell us about what is essential, and what does it go on about things that are not so essential? So having reviewed that entire literature, we said, here, from looking at it very carefully, here are the things that are essential to grade. We then proceeded to organize those essentials into a very coherent structure, into, we think, doing it better in the presentation, having gone through all this, than anybody in grade has done it before. And we had some innovations. The most important innovation, all the innovations were making it clearer and more understandable, more easily graspable, more structured. And so, for instance, we have algorithms or flow charts. First time grade has done algorithms and flow charts. And these algorithms and flow charts in each of our papers really, we think, help the situation. That's the most important innovation. So bottom line is we looked at the entire grade literature, looked at it very carefully to pick out what was essential to get it right in terms of certainty of evidence and moving from evidence to recommendations, and then a few innovations to make it even better.
Thank you, Gordon. I think this clarification is very helpful also for our audience. And given this framing, a question that often comes up is whether the core grade goes beyond simplification. You are still describing core grade primarily as a distillation of essential grade guidance. Are there also any other innovations introduced by core grade?
Well, I've already told you what I think is the most important innovation, and that innovation is these flow charts or algorithms, which we've received a lot of positive feedback about these flow charts and algorithms, and they really help. There are a number of other things, which is one of the interesting things that happened when we went through picking out the essentials is we found out areas where we had not been as clear as we should have been. So, for instance, there is some ambiguity between what is inconsistency and what is indirectness. And so we have a little section that says, here's what's inconsistency, here's what's indirectness. And another thing, when we talk about whether to, across a body of evidence, rate down risk of bias, we had given the indication that if the evidence is dominated by high risk of bias studies, you rate down for risk of bias. But we had never said what you mean by dominated. That had been left vague. And so in core grade, we specify very carefully and much more explicitly what we mean by the evidence is dominated by high risk of bias studies. So those were the themes are, we think, beautiful algorithms and flowcharts. And as we went through, we identified areas that we weren't as clear or explicit as we could have been. So there are these clarifications of more clear and explicit than was true of prior grade writings.
Thank you, Gordon. That's very insightful. And I think it's incredibly important for those who apply the grade as a research methodologist, but also for those who read the paper where grade has been used.
One other thing I'd like to say that I should have in terms of just what we've achieved here. It's 7 papers in the BMJ were published on a weekly basis last spring. It's all you need, right? The big thing is you do not have to go elsewhere. Those 7 papers, if you never looked at another grade paper, you'd still be in excellent shape when you're doing paired comparisons of interventions. So one-stop shopping, all you need, because it has the key essentials.
Thank you, Gordon. And yeah, I agree that tools are important. So having all in 7 papers, I think it's extremely relevant. And before we conclude, I'd like to briefly step back from core grade and look at the broader EBHC context. And given your long-standing engagement with the EBHC conference as one of the most influential EBM champion, I think your perspective on this particular aspect is very relevant. So, in your view, why should why should the EBHC community consider attending the 11th EBHC International Conference in Taormina in 2026?
Well, I feel well qualified to address that, having been at previous conferences and found how well run and efficiently run they are, which I'm sure is going to happen again, and that you consistently get excellent speakers, internationally recognized speakers. I'm a little biased, of course, but the excellent internationally recognized speakers who deliver great addresses. So that is one thing. Second is the wonderful atmosphere at these meetings. So you have people from all around the world. You have people who are enthusiastic, but bring their own different perspectives. And so you talk to a variety of people, and I find I really learn a lot at each of these meetings from my conversations. It's a very collegial atmosphere, no doubt, um, encouraged by the beauty of the environment you're in. That's another reason to come. It's really and people are sure to enjoy themselves and they are sure to learn.
Thank you, Gordon. Thank you for your kind words. And thank you for sharing your insights and for taking the time to be part of this conversation. And I very much look forward to seeing you in Taormina at the next edition of EBHC conference.
And
Thank you.
I very much look forward to being there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Many thanks to Professor Gordon Guyot for sharing his perspective with us and for helping set the scene for the key discussion of ABHC 2026. I remind you that the conference will take place in Taormina, in Sicily, beautiful Sicily, in Italy, from October the 21st to October the 24th. And we'd be delighted to welcome you there. All the information on registration is available on our website. You can see a QR code on my head. You can just scan it and go. And remember that abstract submission is open until the end of February. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in Taormina. Bye.